Tell you what, it's really cold out here, and as you can see, the sun's starting to beat up on these banks here. And when you're fishing cold water like this, one thing you want to make sure of is to try to find bait. And if you can kind of see, you'll see the bait flicker up and down this thing. You'll see the little shad coming out. What we're trying to do is kind of match the hatch. This is a perfect way to do it. We've had a couple bites, you know, so far today, and caught some really big fish. You're not going to get a whole lot of bites this time of year, but when you catch one, you know, more than likely you're going to have a big one on the other end of the line. And just throwing a little Lucky Strike spinner bait out there, you know, you can switch up to a crankbait. But the main thing is try to stay warm and just have a mental picture in your mind that you never know what cast might be that catches that big bass. You know, when you're going down these banks, you can look for irregularities, you can look for structure, whether it sticks, whether it's a point that comes out, whether it's a little sandy spot. And you know, you just never know where those fish are going to be holding. And the bait moves so much this time of year. You know, they want to come in from the river, get into the backs of these creeks, or, you know, just get in there where it's somewhere where it's warm. And, you know, as you can see here, you know, it's a lot warmer back in here with the sun beating on these rocks. And that's a big key, you know, when I'm fishing cold water temperatures. Bass are very lethargic this time of year, and one thing about it is, you know, you want to give that fish time to eat. Now, they will swim and attack, don't get me wrong, they are very aggressive, but the little bit slower presentation, I think the fish will have a better chance to get that bait down in their mouth. You know, sometimes when you get that bite, it's a little bit different than in the spring or, you know, in the summertime when you're slow rolling that spinner bait down there and bam, you know, and they go the other way, about rip the rod out of your hand. This is more, they come and they grab it, you know, and your rod loads up. So the hook set for me is not a, you know, they're not setting the hook themselves. In the spring, they'll hit it and, you know, you got them hooked. Here, you know, they load up on it and it's more of a sweep straight up. I want that hook to go right in the top of their mouth, and that just seems to give you a much better, you know, hookup ratio. We're throwing a 6-4 gear ratio and, you know, throwing it on a 7-foot, medium heavy, you know, pretty much of a fast tip. But, you know, line's a big thing right now. In the springtime or in the summertime when they're slamming that spinner bait or crankbait, you know, I'll be throwing it on monofilament. And the reason being is because the monofilament has some stretch, and you know how hard they hit it. You know, here I'm throwing this on 15-pound strand fluorocarbon because one thing about it is they come up and they hit it and they're very slow, and there's not hardly any stretch in the strand fluorocarbon. So it's a really big, you know, benefit to have, you know, the fluorocarbon line this time of year. To me, this time of year, Colorado blade works really well. Willow leaves are always good, but it goes back to, you know, matching the bait size. If you've got big gizzard shad on Lake Guntersville that are this big and you can see them running and the fish are hitting that, you know, I'm not going to throw a little tiny spinnerbait out there. I'm going to throw a big one. But then again, if you're going down the banks like this, like we're going right here, and you've got the little shad, then I'm going to throw the little spinnerbait. So, and you know, just trying to change it up to where, you know, that you've got confidence in it. And then once you got confidence in it, just get it out there and see if the bass will bite it. See, in here we've got the little blade with the little willow leaf blade on here with the Colorado gold. Now, if I'm in dirtier water, I'm going to probably be throwing 2 gold ones. But this water is not that dirty, so I'm just, you know, giving it just enough to kind of be in there to get the shad shape and the size and the color form. But then the gold, you know, it's a little dingy in here just to give it that little bit. And if, you know what, if the fish bite it, that's what matters ultimately. So you have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning when it's 22 degrees outside and try to go catch a fish. You know, I prefer on days like this when I know it's going to be sunny in the afternoon and it's been a real cold night, and, you know, the fish are a little bit slow. So me personally, I think it's a mental thing when you can get out there at noon when the sun's beating down on the bank or beating down on, you know, you, because that's a big thing. If you're freezing cold, not having any fun, then, you know, I like to come out here and really enjoy myself in the winter time and try to catch some big fish, but I like to be comfortable.